Great. Ooh. So good evening, everybody, and welcome again. For those that just joined us, my name is Lindsay Sadler. I'm a trained chef, and I've been working with Thermomix now for about 3 years. I started as an advisor, and now I've grown a team as well for my sins. So 2 of which are here on this call this evening with us, and then we've got an honorary team member in the form of Claire, who lives in Berkhamsted, and Claire's sort of joined us, and we've embraced her into our fold. So I'm just going to get everybody to very quickly introduce themselves, so you know who's going to be presenting. So let's go over first of all to, or let's go to Claire actually, as I've just talked about her. So there we go. You're spotlighted.
Oh gosh, that's nice. Hello everyone. Yes, as Lindsay said, I'm sort of the adopted team member. I'm the one that, you know, I'm the comedy act, I think. I've been an owner since 2018. I joined Thermomix last year. I was following Lindsay before then, so she didn't really have much of a choice to let me in. And I absolutely love Thermomix, and I love Lindsay's team, and I love cooking, and I especially love eating. And I like drinking cocktails, and I like gin. And I like Gary, who's over there from MasterChef Australia. Nothing to do with Thermomix really anymore, but I just thought I'd share that. So that's me. So yeah, that's me.
Brilliant. Okay, right. Let's whiz over to Sarah. I'm going to see down. Oh, can I see Sarah? There she is. Right, let's spotlight Sarah. Okay, so
Hi.
over to Sarah.
Hi, I'm Sarah. I have been an advisor since February. I bought Thermomix my husband in December for his birthday, and I sort of took over. And I couldn't cook at all before owning a Thermomix. And now I feel confident to do anything. I used to ride horses, so it's all very different for me. And I absolutely love it. And yeah, I can cook now.
Yeah,
does that mean I need fantastic. To ride horses?
Huh?
I said, does that mean I need to learn to ride horses?
Yes. Yeah, that's the challenge. That's the challenge.
That'd be a good team building day, actually. Yeah. We'll all go around to Sarah. We taught her to cook, so she's got to teach us to ride.
Okay, that's a deal.
That's a deal, right? I'll spotlight me back. And we've also got Linda here as well, who's monitoring the chat. So Linda joined us a couple of months ago, actually, as a former customer, now an advisor. And this is what we find always happens. Customers love their machines so much that they just want to naturally share their passion for Thermomix. And so naturally sort of want to develop into an advisor role and join our team. And that's how our business grows. And we look after them really well. So if there's anybody here this evening that's interested in finding out a little bit more about becoming a Thermomix advisor and what it involves, then please get in touch with whoever's invited you to the demo, or feel free to approach me directly as well, and I'll tell you all about it. So I don't want to talk for too much longer, but what I wanted to say to start with was, hopefully you've heard now that Thermomix isn't just suitable for those who are professional chefs. So you will see Thermomix used in pretty much every Michelin-starred kitchen across the world, and in lots of professional restaurants. Certainly, if you talk to any chef about Thermomix, they will say it is one of the most coveted appliances amongst professional chefs. So, and I understand that because I'm a trained chef myself. Even though I said no to this machine for coming up to 5 years actually, because I was running a food business and I thought, no, I can do everything from first principles. I really enjoy cooking. It's not for me. And actually, I've sort of proved myself wrong, which I don't really like doing over the last few years. And once I'd opened my mind to finding out a little bit more about what Thermomix was about, and crucially for me, it was seeing it in action at a demo, I realised that I'd said no to it for so long because I didn't understand it. I was actually blown away at the demo. And a few months later, I bought one as a customer. And then, like everybody else, I thought, do you know what? I love this. I love this machine. I love talking about it. So I'm going to become an advisor. And that was about 3 years ago. So it's not just suitable for people that can cook and love to cook, but it's also suitable for people that can't cook and want to be a better cook or don't have time to cook. And that's really what Thermomix is all about. It gives you that time back. It saves you, it will save you money, and we'll go through a few of the ways in which that can happen this evening. But it will save you time, it will save you effort, it will save you stress in the kitchen. One of my favourite things to do with my Thermomix is make a hollandaise sauce. And I've been known to go through 20 eggs trying to perfect a hollandaise sauce, even as a trained chef. But in my Thermomix, I just have to chuck everything in all at the same time and click thicken. And 8 minutes later, I come back, I've got a perfect hollandaise sauce. There's no margin for error. And it was so warm for me as well for a reasonable amount of time. So you can't say better than that. And same principle with things like custards and bechamels. So, you know, it really is an extra pair of hands and a really handy sous chef in the kitchen. But the reason it's so good for people that perhaps are lacking a little bit in confidence in the kitchen or want to learn to be a better cook is because very uniquely, and I'm going to just show you this to start with, what we have on the Thermomix is this touch screen. And through this touch screen, you'll see on the front, this is one of the first recipes we're going to be cooking tonight. We have got access to nearly 70,000 recipes, all available at the touch of a button. So they come through what we call our Cookie Do app. So it's a bit like the BBC Food website, or if you Google recipes, it's our online recipe platform. It's available as an app. And actually what I might just do is just share my screen very quickly, because I've got my Cookie Do app on my phone and I can show you a little bit of what it looks like. Let's just do that. Okay, so this is my Cookie Do app here. So you can see it's personalized to me. It's got picks for me based on what it sees me cook or search for as a recipe. I can scroll down, I can search for any number of recipes. I'm just going to take that mango daiquiri off because we've just added that tonight at the last minute. So if you wanted to search Cookie Do, for example, let's put in chicken there, you can just search and it comes up with lots and lots of options. So say I think, oh, this looks quite nice, this chicken noodle soup, I would like to cook that today. I'm going to take you back to my machine in a minute and to my screen, and you'll see what happens. Now I've pressed cook today, it will appear on my weekly planner for today. But not only that, you can say, okay, I'm going to add it to my week. So I can start to plan my recipe. So I'm going to add it to, let's say I want to cook it on Saturday for lunch. There we go. And you can build up your week like that. So if you come back to your week, you can see I've already got my recipes loaded in here like a to-do list. Then on Saturday, here's my chicken noodle soup. And Monday, I'm going to schedule the gluten-free artisan bread. So from there, I can add any ingredients, or I actually can do that. If I go back to my search, I can say add those ingredients to my shopping list. Then I can go to my shopping list. You can see I've got 9 recipes on there. In total, I can edit and amend that shopping list. So for example, it says I've got a carrot at the top. Let's take that off, some celery, some chicken breasts. I know I've got those. I've got some ginger, so I can take it off. I can also add things to my shopping list that are not necessarily grocery items. So I can add in anything extra I've got there. Then when I'm happy with my shopping list, I can either share it with the person that I want to send it to the shop with, or I can click order ingredients. Oh, it's not going to let me do this. I think I've got too many children on various different Wi-Fi devices upstairs. Let me just try that again. Sometimes it's not going to let me do it. So if it was working correctly, I would be able to click order ingredients. I'll try and get it working a bit later on and show you. And then I get to choose whether I'm going to buy those ingredients at Tesco or Asda or Sainsbury's or Waitrose or Ocado or Amazon Fresh. And then it will allow me to compare store prices as well. So if I just come out of Cookie Do, I'll try and have a fiddle with that and see if I can come back to my screen. So if you come back to your screen, I'm just going to give you a very, very quick whirlwind introduction to the Thermomix screen. So this is my home screen, and you'll see immediately we've got 3 dials. So we've got time, temperature, and speed. And if you think about when you cook, it's basically a function of those 3 things, isn't it? It's how long you're cooking something for, at what temperature, and how often you have to stir it. That's how our Thermomix recipes are all laid out. Through this screen, we have full manual control of the Thermomix. So we can play about with recipes. We can cook things for slightly longer or slightly shorter periods of time, or we can make our own recipes in there. We don't have to stick to the guided recipes, but the guided recipes are so good that you probably find yourself gradually replacing your own recipe collection with the tried and trusted recipes that have been developed by professional chefs that are part of our Cookie Do collection. So from the home screen, I can go and find my mode. So I can put one of my favorite functions is these inbuilt weighing scales. So I can use this as a set of scales. See, if I can just press down, you can see the weighing scales working. Okay. We can make dough with it. So we can make bread with it, and you can make amazing bread with it. Sarah's going to show you some really quick flatbreads a little bit later on. We've got a turbo function, a bit like a pulse on a food processor, but super fast. You can grind coffee beans, grind grains into flour. You've got a pre-clean function. So yes, it cleans itself. So not only does it plan what you want to cook, then it does your shopping, it does your cooking, but it cleans itself as well. Much better than my husband. You've got a blender. Oh, let's come out of there. It will boil eggs for you. So you can determine with the egg boiler how you want your yolks. Do you want them soft, medium, medium hard, or hard? They are perfect every time. You can use it as a kettle. Brilliant when you're traveling. So if you're in a motorhome, for example, or you're going away camping this summer, take a Thermomix with you. And no, that's not some form of joke. The Australians and New Zealanders have been doing it for years, camping with their Thermomixes, as long as you are connected to power, of course. That you can thicken. So that's what I do my sauces and gravies with, and things like hollandaise sauce. It's a rice cooker. You can ferment yogurt, you can slow cook, and you can also sous vide with it. So it replaces about 22 different appliances in the kitchen. So fantastic value for money. So the Thermomix is currently £1,149. But when you think you're getting sort of 22 plus counting appliances in one, because we are developing consistently new software updates which give us additional modes and features, you are getting fantastic value for money here. If you were to buy every single one of these appliances, I think you would find you would spend far more. We are going to come across some of the common ways that we can save money this evening using Thermomix, because every single one of our customers will tell you if they're using it correctly, they save far more money than it costs them to buy. And that's why it comes with an advisor. So we can help and advise you and show you exactly how to achieve that. So they're the functions. Then if I go into my week, you can see now it's synced. There's the recipe I added. So my weekly planner just is scheduled like a bit of a to-do list. I can click on a recipe, and then all I've got to do is press start cooking. So I'm going to get on with it. So what it wants me to do is put in 150 grams of white chocolate broken into pieces. So I'm going to keep that there. So hopefully you can see me and the chocolate. And I do ask my team to get everything ready and weigh it out, but I obviously don't take my own advice. But people are always fascinated with this, how to break up a bar of chocolate into pieces, just bash it on a worktop, then open it up and pop it in. So my scales, I'm just going to reset them to 0, so I can just zero my scales off. Then you can see I'm going to dump my chocolate in, and it told me I've got 100 grams. So I'm going to, oh, no problem at all, Deborah. Thanks for joining us. I'm just going to break up another 50 or so grams and put it in. But it's so warm in my kitchen. My white chocolate is almost at melting point, actually. There we go. So I've gone a little bit over it, never mind. 60 grams of caster sugar. So I'm going to just find my sugar and weigh in my 60 grams. So this is really exciting, actually, this recipe, this white chocolate and coconut rice pudding. I've never made it before. I don't know, we're not really big rice pudding eaters, but rice pudding is so easy to make in the Thermomix. It's a great example of how you can set it going and just forget about it. Right, now it's even telling me to put the lid on. So you can see it's walking me just step by step through those instructions. Now it's going to grind it, the sugar and the chocolate, into very small pieces. So 10 seconds. Make a bit of a noise for 10 seconds. You see my clock counting down. There we are. Okay, so I'll just show you what that looks like. There we are. So I've just ground up all the chocolate and the sugar together. So you can grind icing sugar from granulated sugar in exactly the same way. And I think one of the recipes is going to show that a little bit later on. So let me just decant that into a bowl. Oh, it smells amazing. Now I'm going to put in 200 grams. You see that on the screen? I've got 200 grams of arborio rice. We're going to weigh it straight in. So here we go. So if I can just maybe move you a bit closer, you can see those scales working. I want to be quite precise with this rice because when you're making things like risotto or rice pudding, the quantities have to be quite precise. 400 grams of coconut milk. So here's my tin of coconut milk. Okay, I'm just going to pour that in. And I did open it because it wouldn't have been much fun you watching me struggle with my can opener, which is absolutely rubbish. And nearly takes my fingers off every time I use it. Right, 350 grams of full cream milk. So I suppose if you wanted to completely, these are guided recipes. So and the clue is in guided. You can deviate from the recipes. You can add more or less of something. You can make it your own. So it obviously isn't a dairy-free recipe, but there's no reason why you couldn't add more sort of liquid coconut milk or soya milk or something like that if you didn't want to add in your full cream milk. There we are. Okay. Oh, okay, I've got a 2-year-old coming to say night to me. Okay, can I just put this on to cook, and then we'll do that when I hand over to, who am I going over to next? Sarah. Okay, so you can see now I've got 23 minutes on the clock, 90 degrees, and all I've got to do, so I've got my ingredients in there, my rice, my coconut milk and my milk, and then it's just going to cook away for me. Just got to turn that speed selector to 1.5, and it says cooking until the rice is tender, prolonged by up to 2 minutes if necessary. So now this is where the Thermomix really comes into its own, and it's absolutely brilliant. This is the same principle actually as when you make a risotto. You don't have to think about it. It's out of your mind. You haven't got it simmering away on the hob. You don't have to think, oh, I've got to go back and stir it. You can just be completely mindless about it and go off and do something else. So if you're a busy mum, you can go and look after your children, go and do bath time, bedtime, whatever it is. Or if you fancy just sitting down with a glass of wine and putting your feet up. So I'm going to go and do that. No, I'm only joking. I've got to go and put a 2-year-old to bed now with my other daughter who's just sat there right next to my Thermomix. Say hello. They always like to make an appearance. And I'm going to hand over to Sarah in Leicestershire to take us through the mozzarella stuffed flatbread. Okay. So let's spotlight Sarah.
Hi. Okay, so I'm going to make the mozzarella stuffed flatbread. I have never made this before, but this is what I hope is so great about the Thermomix. So I'm going to press start cooking. It's told me to heat the oven, which I have done, and line a baking tray with baking paper and set aside, which I have done. Right, place 15 grams of Parmesan cheese. So, and it's weighed it out. And then a tablespoon of fresh parsley leaves. Just got that from the garden. And then it's telling me to put the lid on. And then it's going to just grate this for 10 seconds. And this is going to be the topping for the stuffed mozzarella flatbread. So it's just telling me to transfer it to a bowl and set aside. But that basically is what it's done to Parmesan, that lump of Parmesan, and the parsley leaves. Pretty impressive. Yeah. I do love making new recipes. A lady that bought one about 6 weeks ago messaged me to say she hasn't made the same meal twice in it yet. Just makes different menus every night, which is just brilliant.
The inspiration is incredible, isn't it, Sarah? And again, that's another great reason why people buy them, because they're getting a little bit bored. They've sort of lost their mojo in the kitchen, and Thermomix just makes cooking so much fun. Even if you already love cooking, it makes it more fun and more enjoyable.
With 70,000 recipes to choose from, Cookie Do, you're never short of a recipe. Okay, now it's telling me to add 40 grams of Parmesan. And then 2 garlic cloves. Put the lid on. Spin this again for 10 seconds. Waiting this for 10 seconds. And it's telling me to add 150 grams of mozzarella cut into slices. which I did cut it into slices earlier and weigh it out, but I will just check. It has been sitting in my warm kitchen as well, so yep, 152, I think that's near enough. Then 40 grams of the creme fraiche. There we go. There we go. I love these cheesy breads. Right. 1 egg from our lovely chickens. Mind you, the little monkeys are not laying so well at the moment. Right, put the lid on. Just talking me through. As I say, I'm not a chef, so a cook at all before I discovered the Thermomix. So now I absolutely love it. And I'm confident enough. Okay, now that's telling me to transfer to a bowl and set aside. This is going to be the filling for the flatbread. Ooh, nice. Smells very cheesy and garlicky.
So this is the sort of the same principle. I don't know, Sarah, if you've done the Christmas tree pull-apart bread, which is stuffed with a Parmesan and mozzarella and garlicky filling, pretty similar to this. So you make big dough balls essentially and wrap the dough balls round sort of a teaspoon of the filling, and then layer it out like a Christmas tree on a baking sheet. It looks fantastic.
I've seen
it's a great, yeah, it's a great centerpiece at Christmas, or if you've got guests coming for sort of nibbles, drinks and nibbles, it's good to be able to serve something like that.
And we need to get in quick with this one because I think Heston's bringing one out in Waitrose. He's doing a wreath with camembert in the middle, so I think we can easily replicate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we've got a sheep as well. I think there's an Easter sheep that was done on Cookie Doo.
This is going to be 130 grams of curd cheese. Now, I hope this will end up as curd cheese because I couldn't actually find any in the shops earlier. So I've got mixed Philadelphia with a bit of cream, cottage cheese. My non-experienced chef head talking. We should see how that goes. 80 grams of butter, which again I made earlier in the Thermomix. Just double cream, spinning double cream.
Yeah, when it's kneading, Sarah, talk us through the butter. That's brilliant because that's a great way to save money as well.
Okay, now it's saying 270 grams of plain flour. I've got to get this, aim this right. Okay, I have to admit I ran out of plain flour. I've got 5 bags of strong bread flour, and I had a little bit of plain flour, so I've mixed it actually with a bit of bread flour. I presume that's okay. And then 1 egg. Again, I always crack it into ramekin because so I don't get any shell in. Pinch of sugar. And then it's telling me just to add a tablespoon of salt. I'm not going to put quite a tablespoon in. Then I'm going to put the lid on. And it's going to knead this for 1.5 minutes. So yeah, the butter basically is just a 500 gram pot of double cream. Put the whisk into the, just attach the whisk onto the blade. It's so easy to do. You just put the whisk on, twist it slightly, and then you put the double cream in, and literally you'll whisk it for about a minute. If your butter's been out at room temperature, it's been out for about an hour, it'll separate quite quickly. But if not, just keep whisking it. And it'll perhaps take an extra minute, an extra 2 minutes. And then you just separate it through the simmering basket. So you have buttermilk. So you can use your buttermilk for cakes or cookies or whatever else you wish. And then the butter, you just run it under the cold water and pop it in a dish, or you can roll it out to the cling film. I tend to, hang on, I'll have to just get them. I make some garlic butters and I put them in these molds. So I put the butter in, so then I freeze the molds. So when I have a dinner party or something, I have these really impressive little jigsaw shaped batters to go on side dishes. I love that.
Who are you? What have you done with Sarah?
I know. I don't know, because I make the cheese and basil knots.
Yeah. I don't think you would have been doing that before a Thermomix, would you?
Wouldn't even dream of it. I'd have the butter, just the butter dish on the table.
Yeah. And actually, it's cheaper to make your own butter. So it costs about a third less to make your butter than it does to buy it. So again, that's where the cost savings start to creep in. And you get all the free buttermilk to use as well in baking, or you can just use it in coffee or cereal as well when it's fresh.
So we have dough. We have dough. So it's telling me to transfer dough to flour surface. So I have got one of these great baking mats. Thermomix baking mat, which has got measurements on. Where is it? And then it's telling me to bring together and then divide into 2 equal sized pieces. So I can use a spatula just to cut. Roughly.
And look at that dough. I mean, it's perfect, isn't it? Which is brilliant. What you would expect if you follow the recipe to the letter.
It smells
really easy to work and really easy to work with.
And it's telling me to roll 1 dough piece into a circle. So I will try to do this as quick as I can. Oh, it's telling me roughly 28 inches.
20 centimetres, I hope.
Sorry, centimetres. Yeah, that'd be clear.
That's wishful thinking, isn't it?
So I'm doing this. I know this mat is about 24 circle on it, so I'm going to do it roughly the size of that. That'll be okay.
Just make sure you can pick it up.
Yeah,
it should be okay. If there's,
place it onto a prepared baking tray and spread the filling over the dough, leaving 2 centimetres. Right, I'll come back. Sorry. So, rough circle. And then it's telling me yes.
If you wanted to make it perfect, and we don't have time really to do that on the demo because you've got better things to do than watch us perfect our circles, but you can always put a dinner plate over it and just cut around a dinner plate like a template, and that will give you a perfect circle.
There you go. Every day's a learning day.
Yeah, sorry, I should have mentioned that tonight at the start.
Yeah, I didn't know that, but that's great. Right, so I've got the filling there, leaving a 2 centimetre border, and then I'm going to do the next one. Hopefully do it the same kind of shape. I think I need a new rolling pin. I think this was a hand-me-down for my mother about 30 years ago. Right, that'll do. That's roughly.
I think Claire uses a wine bottle, don't you, Claire?
Oh yes, we did. When I went away on our motorhome, we had just a Thermomix. We made some pizza dough, and we had forgotten a rolling pin, so used a bottle of rosé.
Brilliant.
Place it over the filling and press the edges together and fold the edges, forming a firm seal. So basically, that's what I have. And then, sorry, I'll be as quick as I can. You're like a proper chef now.
Yeah, and it's really good to see this in real time, actually, because it just gives everybody watching an appreciation of how easy this particular recipe is with a Thermomix, and how quickly it comes together. I mean, you could do this if you had friends suddenly dropping in for drinks or to see you in the afternoon. You could whiz one of these up really quickly, couldn't you?
Yeah, I often do just the flatbreads, the plain flatbreads that you have, and then do some hummus. I mean, I've been weirdly recently known to do that. So whisk egg yolk with 1 tablespoon of water using a fork, which I've done, and then I think it's pelican because I did look through it earlier. Brush over the surface of the bread. So I'm literally going to just brush it over the top with our eggs. Our lovely chickens have produced today. I had to go and get some from outside, under the chickens earlier. Right, there we go. bit of egg wash. Then it's time to use a sharp knife. Make small slits over the top of the bread. So, oh, this smells so good. It's not even baked yet. Okay, next. Now I'm going to bake this for 20 to 25 minutes until golden. So I'll keep an eye on it. But there we go. Sorry, the light is quite bright here, but that's what I've got. And then we'll see what's that. Then I know I put the topping on later.
Yeah. Okay, so that's gone in the oven. Fantastic. So it's over to me. So I'm going to do the main course, which is a pineapple teriyaki salmon, which again I haven't done before. And I hope you've noticed our t-shirts actually, because these t-shirts are brilliant, saying if you don't own one, you'll never understand. And I just think that sums up Thermomix so much. And again, it's got a very sort of personal meaning to me, because I said no to this machine for so long. I didn't know what it was about. I'd heard about it. I'd heard it was good, but I'd got so many different appliances that I'd accumulated over the years, where I'd been studying and then working. And I just thought, I don't need a Thermomix because I've got every appliance under the sun. But I did prove myself wrong. And now I've just got my 2 Thermomixes in the kitchen, and I've got rid and sold everything else because it just doesn't perform as easily and as quickly and as smartly as one of these machines. So I'm just going to go over to my second Thermomix now because my rice pudding is still cooking. I'm just going to pick up my recipe for my pineapple teriyaki salmon and press start cooking. So again, it's just going to talk me through the recipe step by step. So you can see I've got my 285 grams of fresh pineapple cut into chunks. So I made life easy for myself. I actually am using frozen pineapple, which I got out and defrosted earlier. So let's just I'm just going to put all of it in actually. There we are. Then some fresh ginger. It says add 15 grams of fresh ginger. So I'm going to weigh that in, peeled, cut into pieces. So hopefully, where's my ginger? Let me bring up my ingredients over. That might be easier actually. So let's put the ginger in, about like that. Then put the lid on. So it says insert measuring cup into mixing bowl lid. So that's just going to seal off. What that means is we've got a gap in the top of our mixing bowl lid. This is our infill, and it doubles as a measuring cup. So these are German appliances. So they are designed with function and form in mind. So you'll find that every single part of the Thermomix can sort of double as something else. So the simmering basket, which sits inside, looks a bit like, let's have a look. Pick one up this. So you can cook rice and vegetables inside that. You can also use it as a sieve. You can use the Varoma. So I'm going to be using the Varoma to cook my salmon as a colander. And there are lots of different ways that the different accessories can be used as well. So let's remove that. Oh, no, I'm putting it on, aren't I? I was getting a bit carried away there. And we've got 20 seconds, speed 8 on the clock. So it's just going to blend 20 seconds. Six, counting down. I'm not going to attempt to talk, but I've got lots of lovely green veg ready to be steamed alongside this salmon dish. See if I can find a spatula behind me. Okay. Right. So it's telling me that step has been done, a little alarm sounding, and please click next. So scrape down the sides of the mixing bowl using spatula. So no surprises there. It's blended up that frozen pineapple and ginger. And that would make the start of a lovely mocktail, I'm sure, or a wellness shot. So I'm just going to get that off of the lid. We go and scrape down the side. So every single step is explained with this Thermomix. And that is brilliant for getting inexperienced cooks and kids in the kitchen, because you just, it's all thought through for you. And it's so easy. I cannot sort of describe how much easier it is having the recipe on the screen. There's none of this when you sort of use a cookery book or you're flicking onto a website and having to sort of remember where you've got up to and think, oh no, I've done that step, or I've done that, now I'm here. Or if you have to step out, or you just want to go and take a shower and you want somebody else to continue the cooking, the handover process, if you were doing this all manually, would be quite laborious. But actually with Thermomix, anybody, as long as they can read, can come along, they know exactly where you are in a recipe, and they can just pick up and take over where you've left from. And I've got 4 children, so I'm often in and out with after school activities. I just get out all the ingredients in the particular recipe, and a couple of my children will just take turns and sort of pull together an evening meal for the family. So that makes things an awful lot easier and less time consuming for me. And of course, you know, they're learning life skills as well. Although my eldest has said he's not going to leave home without a Thermomix now. So I've told him he can earn his own one. There we go. So we scrape down the sides. Now we're going to add in some dark brown sugar. So what we're doing here is making the basis of the sauce. Okay. Just add in some dark brown sugar. I had a minor panic earlier when I thought I didn't have any, and then I did find my bag. I haven't used it for a while actually, in the back of my cupboard. There we are. 60 grams of water. Got my jug. And you can see my scales have reset zero. My scales have reset every time. Oh, are my AirPods connected? Yes, they are. So 60 grams. So don't have to worry, fiddle about resetting my scales. It does it for me. Then I press next, and again, my scales are reset to 0. 45 grams of soy sauce. Oh, it would have been helpful if I'd have opened a new bottle. Okay, so that's just going to go straight in. This is a great recipe, actually. When I came across it, I just thought it sounded so interesting and different. And it's great to do at a demo because it shows the kind of the multi-functional, multi-level aspects of the Thermomix. So while you're cooking a sauce in the bottom of the bowl, you can then be steaming food at various different levels. So you might have rice, for example, in the simmering basket, rice or vegetables, and then you can have protein simmering away on the top. So 30 grams rice wine vinegar. Now, I didn't pick any up today, but I'm just going to use white wine vinegar. I think you could probably use cider vinegar as well, just as long as you've got that acidity going in there. So I'm thinking this is going to make sort of almost like a sweet and sour sauce. So insert mixing bowl into measuring cup lid. Just hold that and then click next. And then it's just going to blend that all or mix that all up for 5 seconds. Okay, so now it's saying done, please click next. Keep the measuring cup inserted, and now it's going to cook away. So can you see, I've got this instruction at the bottom saying turn speed selector to speed 2, and then meanwhile follow the next step. So this is going to start to cook my sauce. So if you have a look in there, that's the sauce, the teriyaki sauce. And then I'm just going to turn that to speed 2. Now, here's the next step. Cut parchment, flip aroma tray, scrunch parchment into a bowl under running water, squeeze and remove excess water, lay onto the aroma tray and set aside. Okay, so that's all I need to do. So that's got a 7-minute cook time. So while it's going to cook away, we are going to hand over to Claire, who is going to do sort of a variation on this, actually. She's going to do some steamed garlic prawns for you. So let's hand over to Claire.
Let's move that. So I wasn't sure if you were going to throw in the Daquiri at that point, so I was like hedging my bets. Am I going Daquiri or am I going prawns? So I didn't know whether to, anyway. Right. So,
I like to keep you on your toes, Claire.
Yeah, don't you just?
It's all good fun.
Right, yeah, so you can't see my screen because it's a little bit too far away, but it's a very similar recipe. So this is the steamed garlic prawns, and there are many prawn recipes on Cookie Do, because I thought I was doing a completely different one today. So I'd lovingly prepared earlier some nice crusty chia batter. We don't need it for this recipe, so fortunately I did speak to Lindsay, and now I know what I'm actually doing, so we'll have this one later. Right, So what I am actually doing is steamed garlic prawns. So it's already preloaded, and I can just press the button that just says start cooking. And as Lindsay said, it's very similar. It's instructing me to wet a large piece of baking paper, wring it out, put it in the Veroma dish, which is this one, which is what I'm going to be cooking in. This is the Veroma. So I've already done the baking paper because nobody needs to see me scrunch that, put it under water and line the tray. So there's one I made earlier. And then just follow the instructions. So again, this is a really speedy supper. So it's either good for two people for a meal, or if you were doing a dinner party and wanted to do sort of 4 starters, then it would work for that as well. So then it's asking me to weigh into the bowl the vermicelli. I couldn't get vermicelli, so I've just used a bigger rice noodle, but it's whatever you can get. And then soak the noodles, which I've done, drain the noodles in the simmering basket, as Lindsay just did, and then add the prawns. So I've just got raw prawns, so you can get frozen ones in Iceland. I've got, they weren't frozen, they were just fresh ones, but raw. So they're peeled and raw and ready. And then what I'm going to do now, so that's just waiting to steam. So what I'm going to do now is the marinade. So it's asking me to place into the bowl. So you wouldn't, if you were doing this at home, you wouldn't need to have pre-prepared it Blue Peter style like I have. But everybody knows I talk a lot, and you know my demos usually take about 4 hours. So I get quick recipes to do with Lindsay because she knows how much I like to talk, and hopefully we can get this done in about 3.5 minutes. So I've got 6 garlic cloves, which are going straight in. And that's something else. This is why, because I go off tangent. You can peel garlic in your Thermomix, and I absolutely love doing that. And it's so simple, and you can do about, I don't know, up to about 120 grams. So you can just take your garlic bulbs, just take the top off, put all the cloves in, put your butterfly whisk in, water to cover the blades, put it on reverse blade, speed for 10 seconds, your garlic cloves are peeled.
Oh, wow.
But true, I love doing that. So, because I use a lot of garlic. So I've only put 5 in tonight because Steve and I, my husband and I, are going to have this tonight, and obviously, you know, you don't want to be too stinky. Right, so 6 garlic cloves. Sorry, I overshare quite a lot as well. Some chili, red chili going in. And you can, and again, it says you can de-seed it, or you can leave the heat in if you like it hot. Some fresh ginger, which I love peeling. I don't peel that in there because I learnt that you can peel ginger with a teaspoon. So I like doing that. And there's less waste. I'm all for less waste. Rice wine. Now, which one is the rice wine? So this one is pretty much, it's an assembly. So it's like lots of the salads and things. It's, you know, put everything in a bowl and it's done in seconds. So this is Chinese rice wine going in. Then oyster sauce, which I really like. So that one's just going in. And you know, Lindsay and Sarah have covered most of the other things that I was going to say. So it's all been said already.
And this is a great tea that kids can cook themselves, isn't it? I mean, there's nothing difficult in here.
No. Well, like you said, your children, you can leave them instructions. My children are at the other end of the scale. So I've got teenage children. So they tend to just be nocturnal. So all the stuff that I've already made, like pizza dough, is already in the fridge. So when they come down at 2 a.m, because obviously that's a key eating time of the day, they'll just grab some of the pizza dough made in the Thermomix from the fridge to whip up some dough balls with some garlic butter that obviously I made in the Thermomix earlier. So they use it as well. Everybody uses it because, as Lindsay said, if you can read and press a button, you can cook with the Thermomix. Right, did I put the fish sauce in? No, I definitely didn't. That's going in. And then sugar, a little bit of sugar. And again, with some of the recipes, if you want to add more or reduce, if you're watching your sugar, which I do because I'm diabetic, you can do that. And what's great is it's not judgmental, so it doesn't tell you off. So if you want to do recipes where you need to replace the oil for water, if you're following, Weight Watchers diets and things like that, you can substitute them. And as Lindsay said, if you follow the cookie dough recipe as it is, it's triple tested and it's guaranteed to work. You can absolutely adapt them, but obviously you just got to recognise that it will be slightly different. The end result will be slightly different, tailored to your own personal needs. Right, lid on. So that's just everything in. So it's now just going to turn that into a marinade. That's going in. And I think a very labour intensive 10 seconds to whip this up on speed 8, so quite noisy. And then well, you can change that in your settings, and you hear the lovely little tune. You can change it as well, so that's quite nice because I like to play with technology, as do my children. So I've changed mine so that it makes the dogs think it's the doorbell. Information you probably didn't need to know, but there you go. So always remember the chilies, don't put your head near the bowl. So that's turn that into marinade, but I'm gonna, there's a couple of big bits of ginger in there, which is fine, but it's asking me, and again it tells you straight down the side of the bowl. And also that's one of the you can absolutely bash your spatula on the side of the bowl, just not a good idea to do it when the bowl is in the cradle, because the scales are underneath. You can't see that from there. The scales are underneath, and it's one of the it's very sensitive, so it doesn't like it if you bash the spatula while it's on the cradle. So just be gentle with it. Scrape down the sides, insert the measuring cup again, and then another 10 seconds on speed 8 just to finely chop it. There we go. Right, lid off. Don't inhale this time. And then all it's asking me to do is put this on the prawns. And I do like this recipe. Now I know which one I'm doing. Is to pour it all over, so it's a nice marinade there. So that's just going to go all over the, and I'll show you, all over the prawns. The reason I like it is because this one doesn't need washing up in the middle. Not that I, have to do any washing up now because I've got a Thermomix that does it for me. And even if you don't use the pre-clean function all the time, I mean, I do use it because I use my Thermomix, 14,000 times a day. You can also use the turbo. So with something like this, if I was going to do something else in it now, I would just literally put some water in, put some washing up liquid in, press the turbo, so it would be a washing up done in 2 seconds. Or you could use the pre-clean function. Right, so I'm going to put that back in. So that is now just going to go all over the prawns. And one thing to remember, obviously, because this is going to steam, so this is going to sit on top of the Thermomix. And again, like Lindsay's, just make sure with the scrunched up baking paper, you've still left enough room for the air to circulate, obviously, so that it's going to steam. So that's the marinade on the prawns, and the noodles that I already pre-soaked are just in the top. So what it's asking me to do now, once I've done that, is just add into here, I'll get a jug, some water. And again, obviously the scales have gone back to 0. Don't have to wash it up. So 600 grams just going straight in. A little bit more, so that's fine. And then the Verona is going on the top. And Verona is the name of the top temperature on the Thermomix, 120 degrees, I think it is, but it's also the name for this. So you just have to make sure you know which bit of the Verona you're doing when you're following a recipe. Right, so that's on, that's going on top. That's going on top. And all of this comes when you buy your Thermomix. You don't have to buy anything additionally. Everything comes together, including your spatula. And your advisor, obviously, because that's the best part of every Thermomix purchase, in my opinion.
Well, I don't know, it depends who your advisor is, really, doesn't it? But we're biased in this team.
Absolutely, we are, yeah. Right, so that's now going to steam for 12 minutes on speed 2 at temperature Verona, in the Verona. So good they named it twice. Right, so next. Oh, And that's me done for 12 minutes.
Brilliant. Okay, so come back to me, and I'm actually about to use my Veroma as well. So we're Veroma twins. And Veroma, actually, I found out very recently, stands for, it's a French word, but it's a combination of vapeur, which means steam cooking, and then aroma. Flavour, I suppose. And Claire's absolutely right. When you're using the Veroma dish, you're generally using the Veroma setting on your Thermomix as well, because you need the temperature to be high enough to generate steam. So look, my Thermomix is telling me as well to place the Veroma into position. So look, there's my teriyaki sauce. Can you see the steam coming off of that now? Yes, I think you can. So I've got my beautiful teriyaki pineapple soy sort of sauce in the bottom there. And then
you want to spotlight Lindsay?
Oh, yeah.
Not spotlight.
Good point.
Nobody wants to see me washing up.
There we go. Right. So yes, just going back to here, you can see my marinade has cooked, and this is my pineapple and soy teriyaki sauce in the bottom, and this is what we are going to use to steam our fish. So this is going to be beautifully infused with that marinade. So a bit like Claire, I've already put my salmon fillets in there. Now in the bottom of the Veroma, it's telling me, if I just skip forward onto that next step, sorry, you've got my ring light reflected in the screen there, but it's asking me to weigh in 340 grams of broccoli or 340 grams of sugar snap peas in the bottom of the dish. So this is where you can start to see we've got two different levels on the Veroma. So I've got the dish, and then I've got the top level, which I've got my salmon on. So in the bottom level, I'm just going to pop a little bit of broccoli. I've got no idea whether that's true. In fact, it's only going to be me and one of my older children eating. So I'm just going to put in a few bits less. And then I'm going to put some sugar snap peas in there as well, and some courgettes just for good measure. So get lots of green nutrition in. So this is a super healthy recipe, and we're not serving it with any refined carbs this evening. So great if you're watching those, if you're on that sort of diet where you're avoiding kind of refined carbohydrates or things like potatoes and rice and bread. Lots of green vegetables. So it's asking me to insert the Veroma tray. So I'm just going to put the lid on. I'm going to put that down. So the lid of the Thermomix always goes on top of the Thermomix before you use the Veroma. Then I'm going to put that on, and then I'm going to put my salmon on. Then I'm going to put the lid on. Actually, I'm just going to make sure there are a few holes so that the steam can come through nicely. And it's telling me to arrange 4 salmon fillets on that tray, finely season with salt and ground black pepper. Actually, I haven't done that, so let me just do that, which handily is just here. So let's pop salt and pepper on top of the salmon. I could have pre-seasoned it. That would have been helpful. Put the lid on. Click on next when I've done that. So it's actually showing me, it's giving me these graphical pictures of what I actually need to do. So if I hadn't used this Thermomix before, I would be very able to pull together a recipe just by following the instructions on the screen. And then it's just going to cook initially for 10 minutes. It's telling me the bowl temperature is currently 90 degrees, which is really helpful actually when you're sort of cooking at an advanced level and things need to be temperature controlled quite precisely. You always know what your bowl temperature is, and then it's going to reach the Veroma. So it's set to reach Veroma temperature. So that's just over to 120 degrees, and it's going to just cook away for 10 minutes at speed 2. Now, at any point, if I want to have a look at my recipe, I can just call up my recipe on the screen, press the down arrow, and I can just scroll through the recipe and the ingredients. So I can see exactly where I am and what I've got coming up and what ingredients I need to get ready. And then when I'm done with that, I just click continue, and it takes me back exactly to where I was in the recipe. If I come out of that recipe for any reason, or I inadvertently click on the screen, can you see I've got this little bookmark appear? That means that recipe, that particular point in the recipe is bookmarked, and I can just click on there and it brings me straight back into the recipe. So they've thought of absolutely everything. Okay, So that is that bit done. Let me just see what we plan to do next. Czech rice pudding and make blueberry sorbet. How's the bread doing, Sarah? Is that out or is that still in for the time being? Oh, Sarah there. Okay, right. We'll just continue with my.
Sorry, I am here.
Yep. How's is bread still in?
My oven gloves. Hang on. Here we go. Yeah, it's there.
It's done. Oh,
yeah.
let's have a look at you pulling it out of the oven. Let me spotlight you. Oh, that looks nice, doesn't it? You pleased with that? You look,
very pleased.
You look really happy.
I'm very happy. Now
let that. I bet your kids will be happy as well, won't they?
They will. Luckily, they're still outside playing. Mind you, perhaps think you're going to bed. Then I'm putting on the reserved parsley and Parmesan. I guess that will melt nicely into it. There we go. It smells amazing.
Yeah, really quick and easy, really effective.
Yeah, and it looks pretty round compared to how quick I did it.
Yeah, fantastic. Right. Okay, thanks for that. Let's come back to me and I will continue with my rice pudding recipe. So it's cooked away. There you go. You can see rice pudding in there. It's had a little bit longer really while we've been talking than I would have liked, but never mind. Now it's asking me on the screen to add 2 eggs. So let's just crack my eggs in. Just get rid of the shells. And as Claire said, eggshells are actually really useful for cleaning your Thermomix bowl out because you can put them into the bowl with some lemon as well, grind it all up, crush it all up, and then run a cleaning cycle. And it brings your bowl up absolutely sparklingly shiny like new. I think that's right, isn't it, Claire? Then reserved chocolate sugar. So it's telling me to get my reserved chocolate sugar, which I've got here. Pop that in. Click on next. 30 to 50 full cream milk. Okay, so let's put in. So my scales have reset to 0. So I'm just going to pop in, like it says. There we go, just under 50. And then put the lid back on, just like that. And it's going to cook for another 5 minutes. Now you'll notice, I forgot to sort of mention this earlier, when you're cooking risottos, or often with stews that require longer periods of cooking, the blades very cleverly go in the opposite direction. They go in what we call reverse. So if you look at a Thermomix blade, on one side they are sharp. So when they spin in a clockwise direction, and the sharp side is cutting the food. So that's doing all the chopping, mincing and grinding actions. And when they spin in the other direction, if you look at the blade, it's blunt. So that's when it's just doing that sort of gentle stirring action. So of course we're doing a rice pudding. We don't want it pureed. We still want our rice grains intact. So we've just got the reverse come on and I just need to turn that to speed 3. And so it's combining. So it's enriching with the eggs and then it is adding the white chocolate and the sugar together. So I'm just going to leave that to cook away for 5 minutes. And while it's doing that, we're going to hand over to Sarah again to do her blueberry frozen yogurt, I think. Where's she gone?
I'm here.
She's back. Okay, right, let's spotlight you.
Okay, so we're going to go for the blueberry frozen yogurt. And it's telling me to add 100 grams of sugar. I might not put quite 100 grams in. Let's put about 8 in. Oh, there we go. Then it's telling me to put the lid on. Now this is going to grind the sugar into icing sugar. This is like magic. Right, so it's doing 20 seconds. Coming out the top. Wow. Just bang that icing sugar. Woohoo! Look at that. It's telling me to scrape down the sides, but in fact, just by banging the lid, before I took the lid off, it doesn't need it. Okay. Now it's telling me to add 400 grams of frozen berries. Now this bag is 400 grams, so I'm just going to chuck a lot in. Oh, 394 Aldi. Yeah. Right, here we go. And 150 grams of Greek yogurt. Your scales again have gone back to 0. And we are at 140, that's near enough. 146, there we go. That's okay. 20 grams of lemon juice. I haven't made this one before either. I usually do the summer fruits, well, the kids actually usually do the summer fruits ice cream. So I'm looking forward to this one. Okay, put the lid on. Now it's just gonna spin that, mix it. Don't know whether you heard any of that, but it's telling me to stir with a spatula. Oh, look at that colour. Okay, so I'm stirring it. Yum. Get everything in there. Now it's just going to do another 10 seconds. Okay, let's see what we have. Serve immediately. And I have one of my children just come in, waiting for his ice cream.
They're never far away, are they? When they know, they're very cunning, these kids at demos.
Oh,
they
yes.
know they're sure to find out what we're cooking, and then they come in at exactly the right point. I guarantee that when I've done the mint lemonade, I'll have a treat for pouring in as well.
Oh yeah, so look at that.
Oh, in fact, look, the door's just opened on cue.
I've still got plenty in here. Whatever I don't use, I'll just put in the freezer, in a tub in the freezer. I'm going to make it look pretty. Hang on a minute.
So, I mean, you can do so many different flavors of this and combinations, can't you? Of these frozen fruit sorbets. They're absolutely brilliant. We lived on them in lockdown last year. So as soon as the kids have finished homeschooling, we just whip ourselves up look at that. I love that touch. A little frozen fruit sorbet, or a granita, or a watermelon slushy, like frozen strawberry, frozen raspberry. And the great thing is, it's just fruit and a bit of sugar. And if you wanted to miss out the sugar, you can use a frozen banana instead. So actually, you're giving kids a real treat, but it's an arguably healthier treat than it would if they raided the biscuit tin.
That's what drew me to Thermomix so much, because I make Nutella now, peanut butter, all those sort of sandwich fillers without having any additives and preservatives. It's like this ice cream, the Nutella, particularly with the palm oil. So you don't need palm oil in it. So that's what really drew me to Thermomix. But look at me. There you go.
Can we just remind everybody to mute, because we've just got some background noise. Okay, brilliant. Thank you. Right, so very quickly, that was great because my rice pudding has just finished. So it's asking me to transfer the rice pudding. Let's just pop me back onto Spotlight. There we go. So here's my rice pudding. Just going to give it a little stir. And then I'm really happy that it's finished because I want to just whiz up this watermelon lemonade. So I'm going to pop it into some, I've got some little teacups there. You can pop it into, oh, it looks lovely. Pop it into some cocktail glasses if you wanted to. You can just see it pouring out there. And then I think it's asking me to cover it to keep warm. So those rice grains will still continue to absorb the fluid. And it says allow to rest for a minimum of 5 minutes. Divide between 6 serving bowls. Oh, whoops, I've just done that already, but never mind. There we go. For the purposes of speed, I'll divide the rest out after it has rested for 5 minutes, like suggested. There we go. We're cooking live in real time. And then you just need to garnish. I've got these lovely blackberries, actually. I think if I try and drop a blackberry on, it's probably going to sink at this point in time. Yes, because it needs to absorb a little bit more fluid. But there we go. Still sort of vaguely sitting on the top. Right, I'm going to do as I'm told for once and actually allow it to rest. And then I'm going to decant it into my lovely little sort of teacup. And this would be great, hot or cold. I'm actually quite looking forward to these tomorrow at lunchtime. So I'm going to take that off. This is actually the benefit then of having multiple bowls. So we often get asked the question, do we need a second bowl when we buy a Thermomix? And actually, you know, in all honesty, the answer to that question is it depends how much you cook. So at demos, obviously, we're chopping and changing a lot of the time and showing you different things. So we all have multiple bowls, but most of my customers find they do want to add on a second bowl, especially if they are doing a lot of cooking. But you'll find, even if you didn't previously do a lot of cooking, when you've got a Thermomix, it just makes it so much easier and quicker to cook that you will be cooking more than you ever imagined. It's not like any one of those appliances that you bought before and you think, oh, that looks great, I'll have one of those. Pop it in the kitchen and then it just eventually gets relegated to the back of a cupboard because you don't use it. I guarantee you, you will be using your Thermomix like Claire, maybe not like Claire, 14,000 times a day. There we go. So let's put my clean bowl in and then I'm going to go back to my week and pick up my mint lemonade recipe. So this is brilliant. I had some friends drop in on me for afternoon tea on Saturday and I just thought, instead of just giving them tea, I made some scones. And I thought, I'd seen this recipe and I was really intrigued and I wanted to try it. And I wasn't sure what it'd be like. The Thermomix lemonade is so quick and easy. And we often do that at demos. And actually, if you saw us at Gapcombe last week, Sarah and I, we did do lemonade multiple times during the weekend and it was a real hit. Just involved making icing sugar, then you drop whole lemons in, cut in half. You don't have to peel them. You don't have to take the pips out. You drop them in with some water, you crush it for 2 seconds, and then you strain it through the simmering basket into a jug. That's all there is to it. This one is a little bit more complicated, but still very straightforward and very quick. So I'm going to put in, it's asking me to weigh in 180 grams of sugar. Let's just weigh that in. And I did hesitate before whether or not it needed all this sugar, but on Saturday I felt that it did. And it's a little treat, really. 200 grams of ice cubes. Ooh. My ice cubes in. What have I got? 125. Don't want to get them out too early. There we go. That'll do. Handfuls of ice cubes. Click on next. 10 sprigs of fresh mint. So these are, I do love using things out of the garden. I went a bit bananas actually shaving my mint plant earlier, but I did that at the weekend and it was just absolutely glorious with this minty flavour. So all of those mint leaves go in. You can often actually buy mint reduced in the supermarket as well, so this is a quite good use for it. 2 lemons. Now this recipe does ask me to peel, remove the white pith and pips and cut. So that's all just going to go in like that. And then put the lid on. And it's just going to grind it for 30 seconds. Gradually increase to speed 10. Right, I've had enough of that. That's done about 15 seconds. I think that'll be all right. Yeah, so I don't think it's going to get any more blended than that. So it's completely mullered all my ice cubes and everything in 15 seconds. Now it wants me to add 100 grams, or rather, sorry, 1,000 grams of water. So let's just put my scales back onto 0. This should be about 1,000. No, I can add a little bit more. Oh, look at that. Just slightly short. Just add in a little bit more. Now I've gone over. Typical. Then put the lid on and then it's going to be another 20 seconds just to mix that. There we are. And then it says, I've got my little serving suggestion. Doesn't hang around long enough for me to find these lovely ornate jugs and matching glasses, and serve immediately. So here we go. So that's what's happened. Lovely clean bowl inside. And again, when you make lemonade, it's a great way to clean out your bowl. And often I use the lemons when I've crushed them to just run a cleaning cycle with a little bit of washing up liquid. Then I'm just going to decant that straight into a glass. Cheers. Now this will eventually, it will settle. Obviously it's still very, very frothy from where it's been beaten about for 20 seconds at speed 10. But this is, it's absolutely delicious, this mint lemonade. It's so refreshing. And the kids and the grown-ups all loved it at the weekend. It's fantastic accompaniment to maybe a barbecue you're having, having friends around in the garden, or just socializing, or just to make for the kids at home. So that's the penultimate recipe. And then we're going to wrap up with Claire. She's going to make a very quick mango daiquiri, because I wanted to give her more stuff to do. One dish was not enough for Claire. We need more Claire.
Absolutely,
in our lives.
Obviously, I'm practicing for Christmas, so I've practiced this daiquiri a few times today. Right, so it's a really, I haven't really. The mint lemonade is really, really lovely, but you don't get that many recyclable bottles without, a few cocktails. So this one's a really, really quick recipe. Thankfully, it might be a bit noisy, but it is just a little bit of sugar, raw sugar. So demerara, I'm putting in 40 to 60 grams, or adjusting to taste. I've gone for about 30 because the mango is sweet enough. So that's going in first. Oh, 31, there we go. And then it's just going to grind that up in the same way that Sarah did for hers as well. So that's just going to be 10 seconds, speed 9. Very good. And this one is from if you were looking for it, it's from the Everyday Cooking Australia collection. You can find it just by looking for mango daiquiri, but my go-to recipes are always Australian ones, so that's where you'll find this one. Right, so that's ground that up. Then it's saying 500 grams of fresh mango or frozen. I've got frozen because I've got no time for mango hedgehogs, so frozen's quite good. And I think this is Aldi as well. Oh no, Sainsbury's. Right, so that's just going straight in. Not quite as thawed as they probably wanted it to be, but don't mind. Ice cubes. Here. In. And then, right, so this one is very noisy, so you definitely won't hear me while this one's going. So this is for 20 seconds on speed 9. So.
Claire, while you do that, I'm just going to whiz to me actually and finish off the salmon dish. Okay, so we won't hear your noise. Right, so the salmon is cooked. So you can see I've just taken it, cooked through in 10 minutes. That's all it took. So it's steamed through beautifully. Then underneath, I've just got the vegetables, the green veg, which is also steamed through perfectly. And all it's telling me to do is strain the sauce, which I've done and put somewhere around the side. Here we go. So strain the sauce through. This is where we're using this simmering basket again as a little bit of a sieve. You can see I've got the residue in there, which I think actually seems a bit of a shame to lose that. Might have a play about with that later, but I've got my sauce draining into there. So it's asking me to transfer, so you can hear me. Yeah, transfer the salmon and the vegetables onto a serving plate. So there we go, there's my piece of salmon. And you might notice here, this is quite, again, a good reflection of the design. So this was the lid of the Varoma. And now I've taken the lid off and I've just popped it underneath, and it doubles as a tray, so it catches all the drips, which is really useful. So I'm just going to take some of the vegetables out. You have to excuse my fingers, and pop a couple of pieces of salmon, broccoli rather, and then my courgettes and my mange too. They go on like that. Then I'm going to just drizzle a little bit of this teriyaki sauce all over the salmon and the vegetables. Here we are. And then that's going to be a lovely sort of quick and easy and super tasty dinner this evening. There we go, my sauce all dribbles off the side of the plate. Okay, right, let's go back over to Claire. Okay, spotlight.
Right, I'm back. I didn't hang around. Right, so I have added to the, what did I put in? Can't remember where I got up to. Basically, I've added the alcohol now. So I put in Grand Marnier and white rum, and then lemon juice. This is a word of warning for anybody who gets totally addicted to their Thermomixing. You will go through like hundreds of jars. So just beg, borrow and steal them from all your neighbours, because you will be making your own pastes and butters and yogurts and whatever. But more than that, label them. I haven't done that. So quite often it's a bit of a potluck. Are we having tandoori salmon tonight, or is it you know, tikka paste salmon or something else? So really good to do it. So this is lemon juice, because I get through a million lemons. So that went in as well, but I do know that one's lemon juice. And yeah, the mango daiquiri done. So I quite like mine like a slushy, an adult slushy. So that is going.
Yeah, I won't be serving that up after homeschooling. Well, actually, I might if I'm feeling particularly mean.
Before homeschooling.
Before, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So you could obviously let your mango, if you're using obviously fresh mango, it would be much more liquid. As I say, I quite like a slushy in my lovely, I am from Essex, so I'm allowed in my lovely baby sham glasses. Right there. That's it. That's the mango daiquiri done.
And you need to plate up, you need to show us what your steamed prawns look like.
Oh, I do. Fortunately, I've already done that. So all that I had to do with the steamed prawns, once they were finished, tip the water out, so discard the water, and then put in some olive oil. I can't see on my screen. Put some olive oil into the bowl, just to sort of toss through the noodles, and you can see that there.
Yeah, it looks lovely.
Sprinkle some spring onions on the top, and that smells really nice. And this is in one of the lovely thermal bowls that will keep hot food hot and cold food cold. So good for salads, good for hot food, good for excessive mango daiquiris, good as an ice bucket, good for everything really. So yeah, delicious. So I'm sorted. Don't know about everybody else.
Yeah, me too. I've got my salmon, and actually I've just chefly put some, I'd forgotten to read the instructions, and it said to me, drizzle some spring onions over the top as well. So I put those on, and some sesame seeds, but currently I can't actually find my sesame seeds, but I'm sorted for dinner tonight. And look at that, I've got 2 courses. I've got steamed salmon, fresh teriyaki sauce, and green vegetables. And I've got beautiful white chocolate rice pudding and a drink that I've made live in just under an hour. So, you know, this is what really sums up the Thermomix. So just to finish up with then this evening, I hope you've enjoyed watching us. This is the part of the job that we love doing. So it's a real pleasure actually to share the evening with you. I'm just going to give those of you who are interested in buying a Thermomix, I'm just going to give you a little bit more information about how to do that, how to go about it. And very importantly, this is something that you won't get told if you are just Googling Thermomix on the internet. Don't just go onto our website and buy a Thermomix without talking to an advisor. If you do that, you will not get the help and support that we offer for free as part of the service when you buy a Thermomix. And the internet forums are full of people who have done that, who complain because they don't understand how to use their Thermomix and are constantly looking for support and help from others. So it's really important, if you want to buy a Thermomix, please go back to the advisor that pointed you in this direction, or go back to the customer who's recommended that you join the demo and find out where they bought their Thermomix, and hopefully they will signpost you to the advisor as well. Building relationships and supporting our customers is hands down our favourite part of the job. It's what makes us tick, and it's why we do these demos for you. And as a customer, you will be invited on an ongoing basis to these demos to help you get the most value you can possibly out of your machine. Okay, so that's the first point to make. Also, if you just Google Thermomix and come across these scam websites that purport to offer a discount on the Thermomix, again, Thermomix are never discounted. We're a bit like Apple products. We just don't offer discounts. So if something looks too good to be true, it usually is. And we will personally know many people that have lost their money trying to get a deal on a Thermomix, and they parted with 900 or so quid thinking, wow, brilliant, they've knocked a couple of £100 off their Thermomix, and it's never arrived. So that is a big word of warning for you. So Thermomixes, you can pay outright on a card, or you can spread the cost over 1, 2 and 3 years. So lots of our customers buy on our credit plan. A credit plan is offered via Icano Finance, who are actually owned by IKEA, big reputable provider of store finance. On a 1 year plan, if you want to spread the cost of your Thermomix, it costs about £100 a month. On a 2 year plan, about £56 a month, and on a 3 year plan, it's about £36 a month. And we know, every single one. I've just actually gone beyond I think I've done about 210 sort of personal customers now, and every single one of them, without fail, will tell you how much money they save with a Thermomix in their kitchen by simply altering what they buy and being able to cook much more from scratch. Even if you consider yourself to be a scratch cook, I bet you will not be making things like this yogurt on a daily basis. So my kids had a Muller corner addiction. It was costing an absolute fortune. 4 of them, 7 Muller corners a week. Now I make all my yogurt quickly and easily in Thermomix. I can control the sugar content. I know exactly what's in it. It's creamy, beautiful, delicious vanilla yogurt. I can top it with homemade lemon curd or jam, again, made very simply and easily in the Thermomix. It saves me £10 a week making my own yogurt, as opposed to buying the Muller corners. So when you think about it like that, and our 3 year finance plan starts from about £36 a month, you're already saving more than the cost of the Thermomix just on making one thing. And then when you add in all the other ways you can save, so the paste, the vegetable stock paste, things like pestos, nut butters, plant-based milks, the pizza dough, making curries from scratch that are every bit as good as a restaurant quality curry, you will be saving way more money than it costs to buy on a regular basis. And most customers will say they break even within about a year, and then continue to save way more after that. But it's not just money you save time, you save stress, you save your sanity. If you're a chef like me, love cooking, it just enables you to cook more. So some people might find they spend even more time in the kitchen if that's what they want to do, because they just love playing with their Thermomixes so much. So I hope you've enjoyed this evening. It is 1 minute to 9. I'm just going to have a quick look on the chat to see if anybody's got any questions. Yeah, please do ask away if you've got questions. What I will do actually is just stop recording now, so that you can ask away freely